Hello and welcome to episode 1 of series number 3, yes, of Master League Story Mode. Now the perceptive amongst you will have noticed that Master League Story Mode now sits within the overall channel that is now called PES Story Mode, and that is because we need to accommodate a new series which has become a Legend Story Mode. Original name, as you might have noticed. And that's going to be coming out on every Wednesday. So it's going to be Master League Story Mode, Mondays and Fridays. Become a Legend Story Mode on a Wednesday. So you still get your 3 a week. It's like 5 a day with vegetables, but me playing computer games. Anyway. Now before I go off on a tangent, my watchword for this episode and the beginning of this series is cutting through the waffle. Because my normal tactic is to regale you with about 5 or 6 minutes of inane chatter before we even get to find out who the manager is. And then after that, 3, maybe even 4 20-minute episodes before we even get to play a game. That is not going to be the case in Series 3 of Master League Story Mode. We're going to get cracking as soon as possible. I want to get to the action. I've had a week off, which for me might as well be a year. And it might as well have been a year off from breathing. So let us get straight into it. That new Master League smell, I can just smell it. Smell it on the horizon. Can you smell something on the horizon? I don't know. Smell it around the corner. Like a beautiful... Anyway, I'm waffling. I'm doing it. Let's go. And before we get to find out who our manager is going to be for this series and what club they're going to be managing at, it's the admin. Oh, the admin. Just get the admin out of the way. So, match level. It's going to be Superstar. For all you manual passing, manual shooting bores. No, I'm sorry, not bores. But, actually, little aside. How do you know if someone plays PES with full manual passing? Any answer? Anyone? No, don't worry. They'll tell you. They'll tell you. Anyway, okay, I'm sorry. Nothing wrong with it. And actually, you know, I've tried it. It ruins the flow of the game a little for me. But if things are too easy in this series, then I will be giving it a go in the next one, definitely. But we're going for Superstar. It was a bit of a challenge in Series 2, but it got a little bit easy with our Hull City Premier League campaign. We ended up finishing the Champions League spot after one season. We're going to be making things a little bit more difficult with some pretty strict transfer rules, but we'll get onto them later. Match time 10 minutes, that's fine. Pounds, yes please. Good old British pound. Worth a little bit more now, thanks Donald. Classic players off, absolutely. Now, interesting. Got a good option file for this one. It's the best of everything file. I think it's Chris Davis. I will put a link in the description. Great effort. It's an amalgamation of a lot of different people's great work in terms of option file creation. So we've got the Bundesliga, the J-League, and the MLS as our additional 3 leagues. That's going to be interesting. Some good talent to try and cherry pick from them, maybe later on. So that's the admin out of the way. That wasn't too bad, really. We're still cutting through the waffle as quickly as possible. Let's go and find out who our manager and team is going to be for this season. I think you're going to really like him.
Or lease. Come on, combine harvesters, by bus, by train and car. And on every ground you will hear the sound as we shout, war, war. All of Bristol City, 2 for the boys in red, 3 for the fans down Ashton Gate. Follow till we're dead, you boys. Follow till we're dead.
Hello and welcome back to BBC Radio Bristol. As I'm sure you know, that was 1 for the Bristol City by the Wurzels. And why are we playing that? Well, it's because the Robins have just announced they have signed a new manager, and it's someone you might not have expected, and there will certainly be a lot of controversy around this. Let's go straight to Ashton Gate, where a press conference is just about to begin. So Ian, you've taken on the Bristol City role today, even though you've got a huge history with the club's biggest rivals, Bristol Rovers. How do you think this is going to affect your time as a manager? And what do you say to the criticism that you're a traitor and no one likes you, and people are going to try and poke you in the eye if they see you on the streets of Bristol? Right, first up, let me see. That's a stupid bloody question. Alright. Second up, my dad used to say, he would say to me, Ian, pile of shit, smells like sausages. It's as good as a sausage to a blind dog. And by that he meant, you know, it don't matter if it's a sausage or a pile of shit smells like sausages. Dog's going to go after it because he's blind. I'm the same, you know. I'm not Bristol City, Bristol Rovers anymore. I'm a Bristolian, born and bred. And I'm going to take Bristol City and we're going to get promoted. And you'll see. And you'll regret that question. So here he is, Ian Holloway. He's coming in. As is tradition, I'd like to apologise to the city of Bristol, essentially the whole of the West Country, and also maybe Ireland as well for that accent, which sort of took you on a bit of a tour of those areas. Not the best likeness of Ian Holloway. Couldn't quite get his scraggly beard. And he's a lot bigger in this, but I'm relatively pleased, and he's going to be a lot of fun. Won't play any clips of him now really, but he's a character and there's certainly plenty for us to use. And it's Bristol City as well. As I've said before, we're cutting through the waffle here, so we're going to try and move this along as quickly as possible. But first of all, for those of you not familiar with Ian Holloway, well, he is quite a character. And I won't play any of his most famous quotes now, but I'm sure they will come out. He is known as one of the most charismatic and eccentric managers in English Football League history. Absolutely. He's a real favourite of mine. And he's coming back to the city that he loves to manage, Bristol City, which, as I also mentioned, very controversial. Ollie, as he's known, Ian Holloway, he started his career as an apprentice at Bristol City's crosstown rivals, Bristol Rovers, who he later went on to manage as well, so he's got a big history with Bristol Rovers. They're not quite doing as well, whereas Bristol City, now up in the Championship, doing pretty well. The story for which he comes into Bristol City, well, I mean, it's a slightly tenuous one. Steve Cotterill was sacked in January after a bad run of games, having got them promoted to the Championship. First place finish in the in League One. But he was out, and actually, a couple of news sources, Ian Holloway was linked with a job, so I'm happy with that. He's come in. Obviously, we won't be starting in January, but still, that's the background. Not completely impossible. So as I said, started as a player at Bristol Rovers. He went on to play for Wimbledon, Brentford, QPR in a career that lasted almost 20 years, ending up with a player-manager position at Bristol Rovers. He then went from there to manage at QPR as well, and at Plymouth, just down the road from Bristol, and Leicester City, Blackpool, where he was probably most famous as a manager, got them promoted, had a real great run to begin his Premier League season, but we'll get into that later. He also managed at Crystal Palace, and then lastly at Millwall. He's currently linked with the Rangers job, I think. So hopefully he does get that, and then we can get some more up-to-date clips to deal with. So as I said, cutting through the waffle, we're going to get straight in to the formation that we're going to be playing. Now, I'm going to be harking back. I don't know a huge amount about his tactical history in Holloway, but what I do know is when he brought Blackpool up to the Premier League, he came in with a swashbuckling, attacking style of play that caught a lot of teams off guard, especially for a newly promoted team to play in such an exciting way. So we'll start from the top. He played with a centre forward, but he played with essentially 3 centre forwards, really. Maybe the two on the left and right of the striker were more second strikers, so I'm happy with that sort of formation. He did change that sometimes and play some slightly more wing-minded players, but essentially that's what he did. He went absolutely balls out of the bath, and that was to become his trademark, really, in the Premier League. He then complemented those 3 up front with essentially 3 central midfielders. Sometimes it was generally like a 4-2-1-3 or a 4-3-3. I think I'm going to play something approaching a 4-3-3. Depending on personnel, we might change that central midfielder there into an attacking midfielder. Defensively, this is fine as well. His left and right backs would definitely bomb on, trying to add a bit of width, but he went balls out. Anyway, that's what we're going for here. He really was. It was an exciting team to watch. Didn't necessarily go too well, and they did get relegated just about on the last day of the season. Blackpool. They were very unlucky because they built up a really great lead at the beginning of the season. But it was also the style that got them promoted. So I think he's going to try and replicate that with a Bristol City side that's got a bit of talent in it. So again, we'll start from the top. Tammy Abraham, currently setting the Championship alight on loan from Chelsea. He's a great striker. So we've got him up front. Other options, we've also got big Lee Tomlin. Now, I love Lee Tomlin. He's a great player. Cultured. Let's take a look at his stats. He's a creative playmaker. He's a good passer, good dribbler, strong man as well. Great finisher. I can see him slotting in really nicely into one of these second striker roles. So in the pure striker role up front, we've got a few options. Tammy Abraham, as I said, he's tearing up the Championship at the moment. He's their top scorer. Who else have we got? We've also got Engvall, 67, Wilbraham, 65. And who's this? Patterson as well. Let's take a look at him. Yeah, he's got a decent overall rating, but his finishing is very poor. Tammy Abraham, let's have a look at him. He's a big man. Big, tall centre forward, only 19 years of age. 72 finishing, nice. Good in the air at 74, pretty strong and quick. Although he's only 66 overall rated, I think he really loses out with some of his other stats, like his passing being very low. But I think he's better than 66. So I wouldn't be too bothered about starting him up front. Looks like his biggest rival is Enval. Let's take a look at these compared. Both youngsters, interesting. I like to have two young strikers. Engval, not such a good finisher, but all the other stats, he's quicker, more powerful shot, he's actually stronger, he's got great body control. That's interesting. I'm surprised that Tammy Abraham has got such low body control, but these two I think will make two really good options. I think Engval just about sneaks it there for me, although Abraham and him could battle it out for that centre forward position if we don't sign anyone. The other second striker, we'll leave Patterson in there for now, but it looks like we do need another second striker to back these two up. Engval looks decent. I like him. He's quick, strong, good finisher. Him and Abraham at 19 and 20 years old respectively. I think that's a good future for our forward positions. Let's take a look at the midfield. So central midfielder, we've got M-Pack. He looks to be our highest rated player at 75. Let's take a look at him. Oh, yeah, nice. Good dribbler, good ball control, great passing. Got some defensiveness to him as well. Not the strongest, but pretty strong, actually. Got low body control, high physical contact. I like that. So, definitely having him in the middle. Smith at 67. Have we got anything better than that? No, we don't. So, definitely need a central midfielder. Gary O'Neill, he's aging as well. So, two new central midfield signings would be ideal for that central midfield triangle. At the back, let's have a look here. Magnuson, big centre back. Looks pretty strong. 70 plus for all of our defensive players is pretty decent for the championship, really. On the bench, though, we're looking a little bit light. That's maybe an area we want to look to improve on as well. Any other players on the bench that look like they can maybe trouble the first team? No, not really. Okay, so I think that's pretty clear. We need a second striker, definitely. Maybe a couple of central midfielders. Keeper, we do need a keeper as well. And maybe some a bit of backup in the defence. So that's what? 5 players that we need to sign. That's fine. Just quickly now as well, just remember we need to look at the instructions for this team. This formation, as we said, is a very attacking formation. The Blackpool side that employed this 4-3-3 or occasionally a 4-2-1-3. It's definitely possession, short pass. I think we'll keep it fairly central because those second strikers can be pulling into the middle as well. Maintain formation, that's fine. High support range. We want to see a real passing game this season. It's not something we've really had in Master League Story Mode, so I'm happy to go for that. Defensively, I think we'll go for all-out defence this time. Pressuring, conservative. Yeah, we don't want to tire ourselves out. I think we'll have a fairly high defensive line. And just keep that normal. Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, if anyone, any big Blackpool or Crystal Palace or Millwall fans who knows a little bit more about Ian Holloway's tactics, then please let me know. I think advanced instructions, the only one I can really think of is the attacking fullbacks, which we might employ at some stage. Other than that, it's an interesting formation and an interesting team. I think we could do well. Okay, next stop is having a look at our transfers. Now, some of you who are familiar with Master League Story Mode will know all about our transfer rules. That's a big part of Master League Story Mode. Try and restrict ourselves, try and make things a little bit more difficult. We're going big this season. We're going really big. We're going to restrict things quite a lot. Here they are, the transfer rules. Yes, there's old Timmy. So the 6 degrees of Sherwood rule. What does that mean? Well, basically, it means we can only sign players from the advanced search, so that's outside of the scouts bringing back players to us. We can only sign players who play for clubs that Ian Holloway has either managed at or played for in his career. So, as I said at the beginning, that gives us Brentford, QPR, who he's played for. Also gives us Leicester and Crystal Palace, who he's managed at. The rule does extend slightly. We can use any sort of managerial friends, so anyone that he has played with as a player who's a manager, or any other sort of connections like that. That's what I want you to let me know. That's where you've always come in really handy as commenters. So let me know if you can think of any connections. But as you can see, we've got more rules this season. Yes, we have. And the big one is an overall rating limit to our transfers per season. So in this season, the first season under Ian Holloway, we can't sign players who've got an overall rating of over 72. Now this will increase by 2 each season, which means next season we can sign players that are 74 rated or below, the next season 76, and so on and so on. Loans and free transfers are also being restricted, so it's 1 loan and 1 free transfer per season maximum. So we've got to live within our means. You know, these great free transfers that come up, that's just not realistic. And loan transfers, yeah, maybe in real life you would take on more than 1 loan, but we're going to restrict that because it makes it too easy to sign really great players. And finally, it's one restriction for our scouting, that we can only scout within the league that the country is in our first season. That means we can only scout within the English leagues in our first season. Then each season after that, we can add a new area. So we can decide that next season. Where do we want to go? Maybe MLS, maybe the Bundesliga. We've got more options. But there we go. So the transfer rules are in. I will put a link to this image. So if you're trying to think of some players for me to sign, then you can refer to this and you know what the transfer rules are. Should make things a little bit more difficult for us to build an incredible team straight off the bat. And it should also put more of the impetus on either developing existing players or bringing in young players under the overall rating of 72 that we can improve. Right, let's go into our team first and we'll take a look and see if there are any players that we can ship out. I suspect there may well be. As we've done in the past, we can be pretty ruthless with this. We've already had 1 bid in for our reserve keeper, one of our reserve keepers. We'll get some more money for him. I'm going to go through and I'm basically going to transfer list everyone, basically everyone up to Freeman, I think. Abraham, we probably don't want to get rid of him, or Engval, our 2 young strikers. Everyone else, they either play in positions that we're not going to play, like a left midfield, attacking midfield. We might keep him. He's actually pretty decent. But anyway, we want to see if we can get any money for them. So bear with me. I'll get that sorted. So there we go. Ollie has come in. He's shaking things up. He's basically transfer listed the entire Bristol City side. He's not fucking around. Right, second thing is, let's send out the scouts. As I said in the transfer rules, we can only send them out within the UK. So we can very quickly do this. We know that we want a second striker. We're playing 2 second strikers this season, so we definitely need some of them. Again, only in England. I think we're going to look for developing players, and we'll have to consider the budget. Hopefully that'll bring us in some players who are 72 rated or under. Otherwise the scout will sort of be wasting their time. So we'll go with that one. That's fine. As we said, we need a central midfielder. So again, England, again, still developing. Consider the budget, please. And then we sort of need a defensive player and a goalkeeper. We do need left-back cover, actually. So I think we'll go for a left-back cover. Again, England, again, still developing. There we go. You're getting it now. It's simple. Next step is to start building up our listed players. See which players we can maybe deal with. We can make this very easy with our new overall rating restriction rule. Just quickly pop 72 into this. We know we can't be dealing with players over that. Let's go and look at some of the linked teams. As always, I'm always on the lookout for any linked teams. Any other linked teams that I've missed. I'm going to put this out almost entirely for you. I haven't even really thought about it. So it's up to you to find me some players. Either players that have played under Holloway. That's one option. Or any managers or coaches or even heads of football who play at clubs who have been at a club when Holloway's been managing or played within Holloway. It's a bit of a tricky one. He's not had the glittering careers of Tim Sherwood or the connections of Alex Ferguson, but I'm sure some of you will find them because you always do. So first up, it's Brentford, the Bees, a club that I have a big connection with. My dad is a fan of them. So Hoffman's the only one out of the Brentford players that takes my fancy, although I don't think he adds much more than either Engval or Abraham up front. So I think we'll leave it. That's a disappointing start with Brentford. Let's keep moving. Our next stop is QPR. Let's see if they've got anything. Ooh, Sherry. Oh no, he's Dutch. Sherry. Anyway, he's a really good player. And as an attacking midfielder who can play central midfielder as well, he'd be great. He's tricky. He's quick. Good dribbler. He's always really, really dangerous to play against. This 3.3 million. Definitely putting him on the list. Move into the Premier League now. Leicester City, the club at which he managed. He left Plymouth under a bit of a cloud after being poached by Leicester City. Only 4 players we can look at in the Leicester City squad. All of which would be really, really good for us. Amati, young defensive-minded central midfielder, defensive midfielder. He'll be good, decent passer. 4 million though is probably going to be out of our budget. We'll stick him in there anyway. Hamer, interesting. He might be our loanee, perhaps. We do need a keeper. Definitely put him on the list then. And then finally it's Crystal Palace. That's our last side that we can look at. Really need your help with some connected players and some connected teams because we're not doing too well so far. Fraser Campbell. God, that is the definition of a boring stat line. Don't know how he got 70 overall. Jordan Much. Actually, I quite like Jordan Much. He's a decent player. 2.2 mil. Good passer. He'd be a pretty handy little central midfielder. We do need 2 central midfielders, as we worked out. And no one else. So that's it. Whoa, that is slim pickings indeed. So please let me know if you can think of anyone. I need your help. That was poor. I might have a think myself just in case. So that's it. That's pretty much all the stuff, all the boring stuff out of the way. Normally that takes us hours and hours. It's taken us 3 episodes sometimes to get that far. Well, not quite. So it's taken us a week, but we've had, quite a few offers. Suddenly it looks like we can have a little bit more money than we first thought. On the verge of our first game, which we're going to get into in this episode. I can't believe we're going to play a game in the first episode. That is unprecedented levels of speed. Let's take a look first at the negotiations we've had in. Lee Tomlin, you're not going anywhere, mate. Absolutely no chance. Look at those stats. Love it. Love it. No, you're not going anywhere. We will end that swiftly. Gary O'Neill, 3.5 million for him. He's 33 years old, and look at those stats. He's on a massive downward spiral. See if we can get any more money out of him, but that would be a good one to, looks like we can. Now, Brian. It's such a shame having Brian as a last name. It's a tough one. He can fill in at left back. He's very quick. We're only being offered 500,000 for him. Not even sure if that would be worth it. Try and get a bit more cash for him. Yeah, well, we don't have any good keepers, but he's not our best, so we'll try and get some more money for him as well. Abraham, I think we're going to keep him, although he's only 66 rated overall. He's got decent finishing, decent headering, stats. Reed, attacking midfielder, still only 385,000 offered. See if we can get any more for him. At this point, it's just sort of building up some options of who we could sell. And then Lucic, who we have negotiated for. It's our first sale of the season. Lucic going out, bringing in a cool £260,000. Right then. Well. It's time for our first game, and it's up against QPR. It's not going to be easy. Let's take a look at the side for today. So up front, Tomlin out on the right. Tomlin out on the left. He's our danger man. Engvall in the middle. Decent player. Patterson. I don't like Patterson at all. Look at those stats. Just look at the brown. So much brown. I'm going to play Engvall out there, and I'm going to play Abraham up top, because at least he can finish. Engvall really can't pass, though. Don't know about this. Right, we'll keep Patterson in. Pack in the middle. He's our danger man, really. We do need to upgrade a lot of these players. But he's our passer. Gary O'Neill. Those are bad stats. Smith. That's really bad. The defence I like. We've got a good right back in Matthews. Good passer. Hopefully we can get him bombing on early on. As I've said, we need to just go out and attack because that is the Ian Holloway way. So I'm going to be ramping up the attacking straight off. Up against Queen's Park Rangers with Sherry, who's a potential transfer target in the middle. They've got a decent side. 2 defensive midfielders sitting in front of the back 4. Sandro, the beast, is in there as well. Let's see how we get on in Holloway's first game. This is our first game at the famous Ashton Gate Stadium here in Bristol. Ian Holloway comes out to a mixed reception. There's still a few fans a little bit unsure about his appointment. But ultimately, I think they're going to get behind him. Hopefully, we can start with a really good performance against a QPR side full of quality. So this is not going to be easy. Not the easiest debut for Ian Holloway. Oh, Pat couldn't get in there. Now it's Cherry in the middle again, into Sandro, into Silla. He looks wide, out to Robertson, the left back who's bombed on. Back into Silla. Ball inside to Sandro, he hits it! And it's wide from the Brazilian. Dangerous play there from QPR with the first attempt of the match. So what I've got to remember is we're a short passing team, but also we've got very low team spirit at the moment, so that's going to be difficult to work out. But I need to try and work that because it's a different style of play than I've played in a long time. Short passing, not really what we've been going for in recent series. Engvall now puts Tomlin forward into the box. Can he get away from Perch? He can't. Good tackle from Perch. Good hold-up play there from Poulter. Puts it into Silla, but Smith's back. Good tackle from him. Now it's Pack. We haven't seen enough of him yet. He sprays out wide to Goldburn. Back inside to O'Neill. And now Lee Tomlin. Looks for the ball out to Goldburn. That's a good one. Gets away from Perch. Can he get the ball into the box? He can. Patterson's there at the far post. Can't get a header. Tomlin back to Smith, but it's cleared by QPR. First bit of pressure there for the QPR defence. Tomlin now. Ball into Smith. Looking back into Patterson with the left foot finish straight at Smithies. He gets the save in. It's our first shot in anger of the match. Well, that's the sort of scrappy half that you would expect from a team with such low team spirit. Trying to get used to a new style of play, the short passing and the attacking-minded play that Ian Holloway wants to see. It's going to be difficult to adapt to. We've managed the only shot on target that was straight at the QPR keeper. Let's see how we do in the second half. Holloway wants more composure in this half. Let's try and keep the ball. Oh, almost caught out there. Perch with a good sliding tackle, but he can't come away with it. Goldburn sees the run of O'Neill down the left. The old man can't get ahead of Colker, but it's out for a Bristol City throw. Ball inside looking for Tomlin. Can he turn and put it onto that right foot? Tomlin with the shot. Oh, Lee Tomlin! Oh my word! I did not expect that to go anywhere near the goal. And he has opened his account for the season. Lee Tomlin, we knew he was going to be a big man for us. I highlighted him at the beginning of this episode. I feel like he's going to have a big season. And that was a huge, huge goal. Ian Holloway, incredibly pleased with that. What a start that was. And what a goal. There's an early ball in. You can see he's trying to work the position for the shot. And he's curled that absolutely beautifully past the QPR keeper. Let's have a look at that again. This should be a good angle. He was really in an awkward position to take that shot. But it's beautiful. What a way to get off the mark. It's a triple substitution here in the 85th minute. But what's really interesting is our central midfield trio have all got almost half energy left. As is our striker. This formation obviously good for stamina. Easy take there for O'Donnell. There's a quick ball out to Goldborn. Jeff Goldborn. O'Neill into the substitute Freeman. He's caught in possession. Nice play by Goldborn. We just need to keep possession here. Pack spreads it wide. We've dropped back a little bit more deeply now. Even the gung-ho Ian Holloway knows that a game needs to be seen out. Engvall inside. Oh, he's really struggled today, Engvall. Tammy Abraham, the substitute, closing down. So all we can ask from Engvall now is that he does his defensive duty. This is dangerous here. Washington. Ball falls to Sandro. Back into Washington. Oh, that's pulled back. And that was weak. Sandro. Ah, he ran into it. Referee. This is dangerous here. Last minute of the game. This would be a real sickener. Looks like it might be too far out for the shot. Cherry puts the ball in. It's back to Robertson, the left back. Palmed away. Magnuson running in sand there. Can't get to it. It's fallen over. The QPR winger gets the ball in. Oh my God. No, it's out. Cherry on the edge of the box. And it's a 1-0 win. Wow. What an end to that game. That was really scary. But we're off the mark with a home win at Ashton Gate. This will do a lot to ingratiate Ollie to the fans. We're off the mark. And it's Tomlin, who we pointed out at the beginning was going to be dangerous, who gets his goal. And what a goal that was. Yeah, it was a tough game. It was always going to be a difficult game against QPR. Even at home, and playing the short passing possession style that we're looking to play and looking to attack as well. Possession was fairly even. We had the shots on target, and that's what counted, really. Tomlin with a 7. Man of the match in his first game. I think, if anything, the poor performances today were maybe from Engvall up front. I think he struggled to get into the game. And O'Neill and Smith did look slow and poor alongside Pack in the centre. So we definitely need those central midfielders. So what a start. Match day 1. We're up into 7th. Lovely stuff. Starting with a win. That's all we could ask for. The scout is back. Let's have a look before we go and see what the scout has got for us. End of the episode is nigh. But we'll see if we've got anything interesting. Bamford up front. I like Bamford. Interesting. Some central midfielders we can look at as well. Patrick Bamford. Let's see what his stats are. He can play as a second striker. He's a decent passer. Really good finisher. He's lacking, I think, physically. But he'd be decent. Get him for 2.4. He can play as a second striker. His passing could be better. It's not that quick. Wouldn't be the worst signing in the world. Take a look at the midfield. Unfortunately, Hughes from Cardiff City. 73, we can't sign him. Chiravella. Little Spanish 19-year-old central midfielder. Looks pretty weak, but he is a good passer. Doesn't have much in the way of physical attributes. And a free agent. Interesting. Rossiter. So Rossiter, that is Jordan Rossiter. He's actually a Rangers player, ex-Liverpool youth. Yeah, he looks good. Good ball winner, good kicking power, great passer as well. Free agent, he's a must. We've only got one free agent though, that is the problem. So we'll put him on the list. Oh, he's already on the list. The problem is when they leave from this scout, I don't know if, I mean, we can still sign him within the transfer rules. We only get one free transfer, so we might want to take a look and see if there are any better ones that come up. Left back options. Smith, Australian left back at Bournemouth. He's quick but not much else. Pineos, decent passer. That'd be good as well because we do want our left back to bomb on. Good ball winner, good speed. I like him. I like him. Could be available quite cheaply. And then we've got another free agent here. So Anthony Robertson this is. He's a 19-year-old Everton reserve player. I'm not sure how he's in the game, but he is something a bit special. As a left back, he looks like he would be a really good signing. Great passer, good defensive prowess, great ball winner, only 19 years old as well. Choice between Robinson at left back and Rossiter, our central midfielder. That is a tough one. We're going to have to wait it out, really. Both of them 19-year-old English free transfers. Both in positions that we need to strengthen. Central midfield probably more pressing at the moment, but let me know what you think between those two. So that's it. That's all we've got time for in this first episode. We got through things pretty quickly there, and we got a game in. I think this is probably quite a long episode, but Lee Tomlin off the mark. And we've got some transfers to look at. Let me know any connected players or teams. I need them badly. We need some more options, as you can probably see. That's all from me. Next time you'll see a bit of Master League will be Friday. As I said, it's twice a week now. But on Wednesday, we start to become a legend. And you might notice from our banner, might get an idea of who the player might be, but find out on Wednesday for certain who it is. I'll see you in a bit.